Wow, belly button's getting old finally. Happy birthday.
The story was supposed to be over, but was it really? Just when we thought Belly's journey had reached its final chapter, whispers of a new season change everything. Secrets are still buried. Love triangles remain unfinished, and the wounds of the past refuse to heal. What if season 4 doesn't just continue the story, but completely rewrites it? When the third season of The Summer I Turned Pretty ended, fans around the world were left divided. Some were satisfied with Belly finally finding her way back to Conrad, while others felt betrayed by their rushed pacing and unanswered questions. It seemed like the end, yet something about it never felt final. There were too many loose threads, too many unfinished emotions, and too much silence from the characters we had followed so closely for years. That silence now feels like the perfect setup for season 4. Think about it. Did Conrad and Belly's reunion really feel like the ultimate happily ever after? Or was it just a fragile spark reignited in the heat of Paris? The truth is, their relationship has always been messy, built on a foundation of longing, heartbreak, and timing gone wrong. Yes, Belly chose Conrad in the end, but love is not always enough. Season 4 could dive into the uncomfortable reality of what happens after the big romantic gesture. Can these two truly rebuild trust, or will their history haunt them again? Then there's Jeremiah. For 3 seasons, he has been the loyal, golden-hearted brother who gave everything to Belly, only to lose her. The series treated his final storyline almost like an afterthought, pairing him up quickly with someone new just to soften the blow. But let's be honest, Jeremiah's pain runs much deeper. How could he so easily accept his brother and Belly together? How could years of love and sacrifice vanish overnight? That unresolved tension is a storm waiting to break. In season 4, Jeremiah could finally face the truth, whether that means fighting for Belly once again or turning into a darker, more complicated version of himself. And what about the parents? Laurel, Susannah's memory, the Fisher family dynamic, all of these were brushed aside in the final episode. Yet these adults shaped the world that Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah live in. They carried secrets, made promises, and even manipulated the idea of destiny. Remember how Susannah always pushed the idea that Belly would end up with one of her boys? That pressure lingers, even after her passing. If season 4 continues the story, it could finally explore how much of these relationships were true love, and how much were the echoes of Susannah's dream. The setting itself could change everything too. Paris felt magical, but it also revealed how different Belly had become. She was no longer the innocent teenager from Cousins Beach. She was bolder, older, and perhaps even more reckless. But what happens when she returns home? Cousins Beach holds too many ghosts, too many memories. Every corner is tied to her childhood, her first love, her first heartbreak. Season 4 could use Cousins not as a backdrop for nostalgia, but as a battleground for unfinished business. Imagine Belly walking into that beach house again, not as a girl, but as a woman with choices that have consequences. Another question that lingers is about the future. In the books, Conrad and Belly eventually marry, but only after years of slow rebuilding. The show skipped that timeline, rushing them back together after only a few months. Does that mean season 4 will slow things down? Or will it push them forward even faster into adulthood, where marriage, careers, and responsibilities force them to face the reality of their choices? Because as much as fans love the romance, this story has always been about growing up. And growing up is messy. Most importantly, season 4 could finally give us what season 3 failed to deliver: closure. Closure for Jeremiah, who has been both a victim and a villain in this love triangle. Closure for Conrad, who has carried the weight of his grief and his love for Belly in silence. Closure for Belly, who has struggled between being the girl who wants to be chosen and the woman who must choose for herself. And closure for us, the fans, who have spent years watching this saga unfold. But here's the twist: closure doesn't always mean happy endings. Sometimes closure means heartbreak. Sometimes it means letting go. And sometimes it means rewriting everything we thought we knew. That's why season 4 isn't just another chapter. It's the reckoning. It's where the choices of the past collide with the realities of the future. The summer may have ended, but the story has not. And if season 4 happens, it won't just be about who Belly ends up with. It will be about who they all become when love, loyalty, and family are tested one final time. If season 4 truly arrives, it won't just pick up where we left off. It will tear open every hidden wound the story has buried. Because let's face it, the ending of season 3 wasn't an ending at all. It was a pause. And behind that pause, tension is growing like a storm cloud that refuses to break until it destroys everything in its path. One of the biggest questions waiting to be answered is Conrad's role. Yes, Belly finally ran after him, confessed her feelings, and chose him over Jeremiah. But anyone who has followed Conrad's journey knows that his heart is not simple. He is a man of silence, a boy who grew up too fast because grief forced him into adulthood before he was ready. His love for Belly has always been real, but it has also been messy, filled with jealousy, anger, and the fear of losing her again. Season 4 could finally explore whether Conrad is capable of being the man Belly needs him to be, or if his demons will sabotage them once more. After all, love is not about one dramatic reunion on a train. It's about what comes after. Then there's Belly herself. Season 3 showed us a version of her that was unrecognizable to many fans. Confident, bold, yet impulsive. She claimed maturity, but her choices often revealed the same patterns of confusion that haunted her in the past. Now, with Conrad back in her life, she faces a terrifying question. Does she truly love Conrad for who he is now, or does she love the idea of him? The boy she grew up dreaming about, the ghost of Susannah's wishes, the perfect image of a first love? Season 4 could strip away that illusion and force Belly to see the man behind the dream. And sometimes, when you finally get what you always wanted, you realize it's not what you need at all, but the real chaos, the real heartbreak, lies with Jeremiah. For 3 seasons, he has been portrayed as both the safe choice and the broken-hearted casualty. The boy who is always there, always ready to pick up the pieces when Conrad failed. But when Belly left him at the altar, after 4 years of love, after promises of forever, his world shattered. The show treated his heartbreak like a side note, but in truth, Jeremiah has the most dangerous path ahead. Will he quietly accept his loss, or will the betrayal transform him? Because sometimes, when the heart is wounded too deeply, it doesn't heal, it hardens. And season 4 could give us a Jeremiah we've never seen before. One who isn't just the smiling, golden boy, but a man who carries bitterness and rage against the people who hurt him most, his brother and the girl he loved. And if Jeremiah takes that darker turn, then the love triangle becomes something else entirely. It becomes a war between brothers. A war not just for Belly's heart, but for pride, respect, and the years of resentment that have been quietly building. After all, Conrad and Jeremiah have always loved each other, but they've also competed with each other. For their mother's attention, for their father's approval, and most of all, for Belly. Season 4 could turn that quiet rivalry into an explosion that tests the limits of family itself. What happens when the Fisher brothers can no longer forgive each other? What happens when Belly is caught in the middle of a conflict that could tear them apart for good? Meanwhile, the secondary characters, so often overlooked, still carry stories worth telling. Stephen, Belly's brother, has always been the comedic relief, the grounded one. But his relationships and ambitions were brushed aside in the final season. Could season 4 finally give him the spotlight, showing how he carves his own identity outside the Fisher cousins Belly triangle? And Laurel, Belly's mother. What role does she play when she sees her daughter entangled once again in the Fisher family drama? She has always been the voice of reason, the woman who warned Belly about making choices too quickly. Will she support Belly and Conrad's love, or will she fight to protect her daughter from repeating the same mistakes? And let's not forget Susannah's lingering shadow. Even in death, she's shaped everything. She planted the seed of destiny, whispering that Belly was meant for one of her boys. But was that prophecy a blessing or a curse? Did her dream create love, or did it manipulate it? If season 4 wants to dig deeper, it could confront the uncomfortable truth that the Fisher family's grief combined with Susannah's hopes, build a world where Belly was never truly free to choose. And maybe, just maybe, season 4 is where Belly finally claims her own story. Not Susannah's, not the brothers, but hers. But here's the real suspense. What if season 4 isn't about romance at all? What if it becomes a story about consequences? About 3 young people forced to face the reality of their choices, stripped of fantasy, stripped of nostalgia, left only with the question, who am I when love isn't enough? Because that's what growing up really is. It's not just choosing who you want to be with, it's choosing who you want to be. And that is why season 4, if it happens, will be more than just another summer. It will be the storm after the summer, the reckoning of everything left unsaid. The story we thought was finished is only halfway told. And what comes next will not just test hearts, it will break them. The truth about The Summer I Turned Pretty is simple. Every ending hides the possibility of a new beginning. And if season 4 happens, it won't just be a continuation. It will be a transformation. Because the story we thought was about first love is about to reveal itself as something much darker, much deeper, and far more unforgettable. Think of where we left off. Belly chasing Conrad, Jeremiah quietly stepping aside, and a promise of new love rising from old ashes. On the surface, it looks hopeful, but beneath that surface, the cracks are everywhere. The moment Conrad and Belly step back into each other's arms, they must face the uncomfortable question. How do you rebuild trust in a relationship that has already fallen apart once before? Every smile they share hides the fear that history will repeat itself. Every kiss feels sweeter, but also more fragile. In season 4, love will not be enough. They will need honesty, forgiveness, and courage. And those are qualities neither of them has mastered yet. Jeremiah, on the other hand, is not finished. His silence in the finale was not closure, it was shock. He gave years of his life to Belly, believed in a future with her, only to be discarded for the very brother he always compared himself to. That wound will not heal easily. And if season 4 dares to show the truth, Jeremiah's heartbreak could twist into something darker. Not necessarily revenge, but resentment. The kind of resentment that changes the way you see the world, the way you see your family, and the way you see yourself. Jeremiah may smile, he may pretend to move on, but his story is not done. And if the love triangle returns, it will be fiercer, more dangerous, and more final than ever before. But let's step back for a moment. This saga has never only been about romance. It has always been about family, grief, and the impossible task of growing up while holding on to the past. Susannah's death still lingers over every choice these characters make. She was the glue that held everyone together, the dreamer who believed in perfect endings. But maybe season 4 is where her dream unravels, where the truth is exposed, that forcing destiny on children comes with consequences. Conrad, Jeremiah, and Belly may finally realize that Susannah's hope for them to end up together was never really about love. It was about her own longing for permanence in a world slipping away. Season 4 could challenge the idea of destiny itself. Was Belly ever free to choose? Or was she trapped from the start in a story she didn't write? And then there is Cousins Beach, the place where everything began, the summers, the kisses, the heartbreaks. The house may be the same, but the people are not. Imagine Belly walking through those halls again, remembering her childhood while carrying the weight of her choices as an adult. Cousins could transform from a sanctuary of memories into a battlefield of truth. Every room carries a secret. Every corner carries a ghost. And this time, there will be no innocence left to protect them. But the most haunting question is not about Conrad, Belly, or Jeremiah. It is about the future. Where does the story truly end? Do we see a wedding like in the books? Do we see Conrad and Belly proving that their love can survive time, distance, and pain? Or do we see something entirely different? A story where love is not the answer, but the lesson? Because sometimes the bravest ending is not staying together, but letting go. Season 4, if it comes, has the power to give us the closure we've been craving. It could heal Jeremiah's wound, redeem Conrad's silence, and give Belly the chance to finally grow into the woman she has always been meant to be. Or it could break us all over again, reminding us that love is never simple, that family is never easy, and that growing up always comes with a cost. So the question remains, will Amazon Prime dare to continue the saga? Will they give us the reckoning we deserve, or leave us forever stuck in that rushed conclusion? One thing is certain, the story still feels unfinished. Too many questions remain unanswered, too many hearts remain unsettled. And the whispers of a season 4 feel less like rumor and more like inevitability, because The Summer I Turned Pretty was never just about summer. It was about change, about endings that lead to beginnings, about the pain of choosing and the beauty of becoming. And now, as we wait for news of what comes next, we stand on the edge of another story. A story that promises to be bolder, braver, and more heartbreaking than ever before. The summer may have turned pretty once, but the next season could turn everything upside down.